Welcome to our live stream, everyone. I'm Miha Gallagher, Vice President of Research at Destination Analyst, and I'm so happy to be here to take you through the latest on Americans' travel-related thoughts, feelings, opinions, and their behaviors. But first, a very important message. Congratulations to the Denver Nuggets on their first ever franchise championship win. To be honest, I never grew up with any allegiance to a particular NBA team. And as a matter of principle, I actually always rooted against the Nuggets to make my husband, a lifelong Nuggets fan, angry because I'm petty. But this year, some Laker fans on our team, Aaron and Henry, were talking trash, saying they weren't worried about Denver in the Western Conference. And it was at that precise moment I decided that the Nuggets would take the ship. And they did. So, yay to the Nuggets. And if you haven't already, please, please, please be sure to send Aaron your condolences about that epic Lakers sweep. Online with us today is Dave Bratton, Destination Analyst's founder and managing director, shown in this photo, pedaling as fast as he can away from civilization and modern comforts. And our VP of strategy, Courtney Fosty, seen here trying to bum a ride from a bookworm in Atlantic City. Dave and Courtney will be in the chat, so please feel free to reach out to them with any questions about the findings or just to say hello. And Destination Analysts is a team of market researchers that work with organizations and brands around the US and the greater world to identify and translate trends and provide intelligence that illuminate and guide in smart, considerate, and sustainable tourism strategies. We bring the information that answers the hows of human behavior together, but the most important work that we do is to help the understanding of the why. And speaking of the whys, if you like keeping on top of travel trends, please be sure to follow us on social, where we share out important stats from our research on a regular basis. And the insights I'll be sharing today comes from the State of the American Traveler study, which was launched back in 2006 and now is a monthly tracking survey of a nationally representative sample of 4,000 adult American travelers. Our latest data was from our most recent survey collected just a couple of weeks ago between May 17th and the 21st. And today I'll be covering the key findings from our latest survey of American travelers. And because AI integrations are the topic of the hour, and honestly, it'll be the topic for the foreseeable future, we will then roll right into a first of its kind live discussion and review of AI generated advertising. And this discussion will be led by our project manager, Mita, seen here pretending to fall off the side of a cliff for fun. And yes, for those of you wondering, since our names and our faces are so similar, Mita and I are in fact sisters. She's my dark humored little sister, seen here in this childhood photo, thinking about pretending to fall off our dad's semi to scare the crap out of our parents. And joining me, Todd, later in the show is this wonderful traveling consumer panel. Welcome, everyone, and we cannot wait to hear from you later on in the show. As always, the live stream recording and presentation deck will be available on destinationanalyst.com later today. So let's jump into the findings now. First, with another record summer for travel in front of us, but with many unresolved issues facing the industry, which there'll be plenty more on that a little bit later in the show. This month, we asked Americans to describe how they feel about travel in one word. And for our audience, I'd love to hear from you. What one word comes to mind when you think about travel? Please share that in the chat. This question is one that we've asked with some frequency because it so succinctly captures the predominant emotion. As you may recall, during the pandemic years, fear was often at the forefront in response to this question. Well, as we head straight into summer of 2023, the top response is now excited, layered with many forms of great, good, love, awesome, and happy. But right beneath the surface of excitement lies this feeling that travel is expensive, making people feel broke or poor, which is obviously not something that we want in the travel industry here. So financial pressure certainly continues to be felt among steadily high levels of excitement for travel. And we will see indicators of that throughout the results on current travel sentiment. Economic anxiety has been the top impactor over the last 14 months. So let's look at the degree of financial concerns among Americans and how that may be weighing on their travel sentiment. When asked if they or their households are better off or worse off financially than they were 1 year ago, 29.5% said better. Meanwhile, a larger 34.9% said they are worse off relative to a year ago. And the proportion of American travelers feeling financially better off right now is actually 3 points down from this same period last year. We also ask if they feel that the present is either a good or a bad time to spend their money on leisure travel. And this month, 27.5% said it's a good time, while a larger 37.1% said right now is a bad time to spend on travel. And this has actually grown 4 points in the last month alone. And thus, if we look at this metric over time, we see we are again in a period of declining feeling about the present being a good time to spend on travel. And 58.8% of American travelers expect the US will enter a recession in the next 6 months, continuing an upward trend that begun in March. Still, we're not seeing the same highs last seen back in October when nearly 2/3 of Americans were expecting an imminent recession. And as we repeatedly see, American travelers are reliably optimistic. When asked their expectation for their household's financial situation a year from now, 49.7% say they feel or they expect to be better off. Just 14% say they may be worse off a year from now. And thus, the financial optimists outnumber the pessimists by a ratio of 3.6 to 1. In fact, optimism about their future financial prospects have continued to trend upward, as you can see in this chart. Nevertheless, American travelers are not necessarily acting in the present on the optimism that they feel. 62.6% agree that they are being careful with their money because of their recession concerns right now. And this metric has also been on an upward trend since March, although again, not yet reaching the high seen last October. Still, this may mean travelers may not be spending unabashedly on their upcoming trips. Indeed, a notable 46.7% say high travel prices have actually kept them from traveling in the past month. And this is the highest it's been in 6 months, as shown in the chart on the right with that blue line. In a similar vein, nearly 1/3 agree that recent inflation in consumer prices has led them to cancel an upcoming trip. And this is the highest it's been in a year. And while Americans' personal travel budgets remain a healthy $3,700 for the next 12 months, note that this has fallen from a high of just over $4,600 reported back in February. But remember, Americans' number one response when they think of travel, and that's really expressing itself here in this question, with 87.9% of Americans reporting strong levels of excitement about travel in the coming months. And indeed, Americans' excitement for travel remains at a record level high, a mean of 8.3 on a scale of 0 to 10. As we did last month, let's now take a look at various factors and segments that are driving this excitement. As expected, affluent households, defined as those with an annual household income above 150,000, and shown as the top blue line in this chart, they are significantly more excited about travel. When we look by geographic region, we see excitement levels generally stable across the entire US here. By generation, we continue to see the shocking trend that Gen X and baby boomer travelers exhibit somewhat higher levels of excitement about travel relative to their younger counterparts, which was certainly not the case in the first 9 months of 2022. By residence type, those residing in rural areas continue to show lesser degrees of travel enthusiasm, although the gap between rural residents and urbanites and suburbanites that's closed further this month. And parents who travel with their school-age children continue to be amongst the most excited segments about travel. And now that I've shown you who and where the enthusiasm is, what types of trips are generating the most excitement? Well, we just saw a moment ago that parents of school age children are extremely excited about travel. So when we asked all Americans how excited they are for each of these different types of trips, it's not surprising to see family trips are garnering the most excitement as we head into summer. This is followed by romantic getaways, and there's also strong levels of excitement for girlfriend getaways and solo travel. And if you want to dig deeper into who is most enthused by these types of trips, know that you can always subscribe to the State of the American Traveler study to get access to all of this data and much, much more. And to wrap all this together in a single data point for you, we produce the current and future travel sentiment indexes comprised of the questions that you see here on screen, which takes into account financial considerations, past travel behavior, and future travel behavior. And based on what these indices show now, current travel enthusiasm has actually been regressing in the past 2 months. And expectations for future travel is down very slightly this month, but stands virtually unchanged from 1 year ago. And in our live stream last month, we looked specifically at how Americans are feeling about international travel, and let's revisit this. So right now, 28% say they are likely to travel abroad in the next year. However, potentially related to financial sentiment, expectations for travel outside the US have been moving slowly downward this year, but still with 28% expecting to venture abroad in the next 12 months, the big question, of course, is where do they most want to go? Italy is now the top desired foreign destination among Americans. Just a few short months ago, Canada was actually at the top of this list, but now it's Italy, followed by the UK, Mexico, and Paris. But I hear some chattering in the audience about what is the most desired domestic destinations. And friends, you know I have the answer to that. So and the top most desired domestic destinations that Americans want to visit in the next 12 months. Top of the list here is New York, Florida, California, and Hawaii. City-wise, Vegas, Chicago, LA, Miami, and Orlando were mentioned most often. And as it will be increasingly competitive to reach travelers, what are the resources they will be turning to for inspiration and travel information? As is typical, when asked about the resources they would be most receptive to travel inspiration from, websites found via search engine, Facebook, Instagram, email campaigns, and online articles, also blogs, are generally top of the list here. But streaming video and TikTok are formidable, performing even review sites, podcasts, and broadcast television. So let me give you a deeper look at how travelers are using online video. So we asked, how do you generally use online video for helping with your travels? We found that 30.5% say they use online video to get a general sense of the destinations that they are considering visiting. Over 25% say they use online video for inspiration on where to travel. Almost 24% say inspiration on what to do while traveling, like activities and attractions. And almost 23% say they use online video to get ideas for where to eat. So certainly online video is used to better plan almost every aspect of the travel experience. And a note for our media buyers, average planning windows for vacations continues to be below what we saw throughout all of last year and now stands at a mean of 10.1 weeks out. And interestingly, when we asked American travelers who took a recent overnight trip, and we asked them to detail how many weeks in advance did they begin planning this overnight trip that they just took, their planning window was even shorter at an average 6.3 weeks. And with Americans' excitement and desire for travel inspiration, I'll now show you what travel planning activities Americans report doing in the last week alone. Nearly 50% did some travel dreaming in the last week, which is on the up over the last few months. About 45% talked to a friend about a future trip. Over 35% researched travel ideas online, which has remained relatively stable through 2023. 15.6% actually made travel reservations, which did dip ever so slightly compared to last month. And those who research travel ideas offline continues to happen at a lower rate relative to these other travel planning activities. But importantly, relatively few have done no such travel planning in the past week, which has been in a steady decline in the last few months. Let's now examine deterrents to traveling in the past month. And for this question, we asked travelers which, if any of these, has kept them from traveling more than they otherwise would have preferred. And this is important to learn to see how we can adjust messaging to try to overcome some of these deterrents. The top reasons are what you would expect. What's kept Americans from venturing out more are mostly cost related, from the general expense of travel to specifically gas and airfare being too expensive. Secondary deterrents include Americans being Americans, meaning they're too busy at work or they don't have enough PTO. And COVID is also deterring some still, with about 1 in 10 still concerned about the virus or feeling that the pandemic is not fully over. And here's the time series for some of the top deterrents that we track. And you can see in this chart here that all the cost-related issues are on a slight upward trend, whereas concerns about COVID are in a steady decline. And back in January, just as a refresher for some members of our audience, we asked American travelers about their predictions for the year, and we all saw an unexpected wariness of the travel industry, which was unfortunate. And some of the top scenarios that Americans expected to happen in 2023 was the continuance of price gouging, labor shortages, and an increasingly frustrating domestic travel experience. And now that we're 6 months into the year, I think we can all agree that those predictions were spot on. So this, of course, made us wonder if the record levels of enthusiasm for travel might wane in the face of the industry's ongoing challenges. And so in our March study, our next inquiry focused on travel pet peeves. And we found that pet peeves about the travel experience were, of course, numerous, with both other traveler and industry-caused issues such as dirty hotel rooms, flight delays, misbehaving children, and adults being among the top peeves for Americans. And then last month, we asked Americans, compared to before the pandemic, how would you rate each of the following aspects of traveling right now? And here's what we found on what's changed. So on the good, the ability to have fun and the vibe in a destination was seen as improved. Conversely, on the bad was the overall cost of traveling and the value received for what they were paying. And this month's topic, we have to give a special shout out to our friends at Love Communications for the inspiration, which is about sticker shock, defined as the surprise and dismay a traveler might experience on being informed of a product or a service's unexpectedly high price. So we asked travelers, thinking of the last time you were planning a trip, i.e., prior to leaving home, did you experience any sticker shock? Well, we found that nearly 4 in 10, 38% of American travelers said yes, they did in fact experience sticker shock planning their most recent trip. And I myself am in this camp, having looked at a hotel room in Dallas for July and finding a $1,600 price tag for just 2 nights. And for me, it was less sticker shock and more of a sticker backhanded slap to the face. And, that was great. And so, over 60% of those who experienced sticker shock when planning their last trip reported that this came primarily from hotel rates, while about half named airfare as the culprit. Nearly 47% reported sticker shock from restaurant and dining costs, and 42% experienced the same from entertainment, recreation, or attraction costs. So certainly it's not one particular area of the travel experience here that's causing this. And unfortunately, but also importantly for travel marketers, sticker shock has an immediate impact on travelers' considerations of a destination. In fact, over 60% of Americans who recently experienced travel sticker shock said it caused them to reconsider going to the destination they had their sights on. 26% said they actually chose to visit a less expensive destination, and 15% said they actually canceled their travel plans entirely because of this sticker shock. While over 50% of these travelers said sticker shock led them to find less expensive ways to travel or ways to save money, 28% resigned to the high costs and increased their overall trip budget. And just a reminder that these are among travelers who experienced sticker shock. And this is how it shakes out when we look at percentages by all travelers. So, still a considerable proportion of American travelers being affected here. And those findings were a little bit of a downer, so it's time for a vibe shift. You may be wondering why I have a picture of my colleague Chingun on screen here. Oops. Sorry about that. And it's because I have a special treat for our audience. I'm going to invite Chingun to join me on the virtual stage to show you all this fantastic dynamic dashboard that Chingun has created to help our subscribers and our clients action on all of the timely traveler sentiment and behavioral insights that we collect every single month. As you all know, we collect over 4,000 surveys of American travelers every month, and that is a massive data set that you can use to filter by demographic profile, geographic profile, and even by destination interest, both at the city level and the state level. So Chingun, please enlighten us with the great work you've been putting into the State of the American Traveler dashboard.
Thank you, Miha. All right, hello, my name is Chingun. I'm the analytics manager at Destination Analysts. Fun fact about me is I love listening to self-improvement audiobooks, and I'll be showing you some examples of deeper and more localized insights that are available to you anytime from our State of the American Traveler Study dashboard, including how a destination can market to me based on my interest in self-improvement audiobooks. Let's take a look at resource usage among American travelers, specifically looking at magazines. Miha, what's your favorite magazine?
Chingun, if you had asked me a year ago, my answer would have been different. But at that time, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I started receiving People magazines, never signed up for it, never asked for the subscription. And I frantically, for many months, was trying to figure out a way to stop them sending me People magazines. And I couldn't find anything. I felt like I had to give some sort of blood sacrifice to get this to stop. But when I finally got over my irritation, I came to the realization that People magazine, that's some fun fodder, fun to pass a few minutes, pass a few brain cells. And so People magazine, you don't have my money, but you do have my eyeballs. So let's go with that.
Okay, so if you want to capture Miha in your destination marketing, you know what to do. So we are currently looking at 2023 year-to-date data here for magazine usage in the past 12 months. Let's filter by the most recent month of our study. I'm going to use this filter feature up here, and I'm going to select May 2023, which is our most recent month of collection. Okay, so we see that AARP is consumed by the largest share of overall American travelers, followed by People Magazine, and then Travel and Leisure Magazine is here at 10%. Let's filter this data for affluent travelers, since your team may want to focus on marketing to these higher income travelers. I'm going to use my filter feature here, and I'm going to select travelers who have an income of $200,000 or more. So we see here that Travel and Leisure Magazine jumps up to 20%.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I love a good browse through Travel and Leisure's listicles on best places to visit.
Oh, wow. Sounds like another place where travel marketers can reach you. So let's take another look at, let's take a look at another type of resource usage, podcast genres, which may be another space for travel marketing.
And while you're pulling that up, Chingun, I've actually, in the podcast that I've listened to and some of our team members, we've actually been hearing some destination ads on those podcasts, which is really exciting to hear. So definitely a medium that destinations are taking advantage of right now.
That's nice. So among total American travelers, entertainment, pop culture, health and fitness, comedy, and true crime top the list of genres most consumed. I want to call out in particular that health and fitness is at 29% here. Let's use our cool new filters we have set up for the major cities that we track in our study to see what this looks like by destination. We can filter our data by many major domestic destinations, and we can drill down to those who have visited in the past 2 years and those who are likely to visit in the next 2 years, or both. Let's take a look at Anchorage as an example, looking at our 2023 year-to-date data to make sure that we have a robust sample size. We see that health and fitness moves to the top of the list here for recent visitors to Anchorage at 44. Recent visitors to Anchorage at 44% here. And if we take a look at likely visitors to Anchorage, health and fitness is at 39% here. So it's clear that visitors and potential visitors to the destination are particularly interested in this topic.
Well, it's super interesting, Chingun. It sounds like Anchorage is a perfect destination for you based on your love and devotion to health and fitness.
Yes, Anchorage is definitely on my list, but for now, I would rather go to Denver and participate in the Denver Nuggets parade and, feel like the champions.
Yay to that.
Next, let's take a look at the resources where travelers are most receptive to learn about new destinations. Websites found via search engine tops the list at 41%, followed by Facebook and email at 32%. And I want to note here that Instagram is at 22% and TikTok is at 16% here. Let's use the awesome new state filters here in the state edition of the dashboard to see what this looks like for state level destinations. We are able to filter by our travelers who have or are likely to visit or travel within a state or both. So let's take a look at Iowa as an example. So we see here that Facebook is much higher at 46% for recent visitors and 41% for likely visitors. Going back to the default dashboard here, we can also filter by generations, like say Gen Z, to see where there are key differences in media consumption, as you may want to market to these younger travelers. So perhaps unsurprisingly, TikTok tops the list here at 43% for this age group. As we also saw in our recent research on TikTok usage among travelers, these younger generations are using TikTok for travel inspiration in a lot of new and unique ways. So this aligns closely with what we would expect to see. And June is Pride Month. And if your destination wants to host a Pride event next year and want to market to this group, we can find out how. So let's take a look at resources where LGBTQIA plus travelers are most receptive. And we see here that TikTok and Instagram are much higher than overall American travelers at 30% here, nearly double that of the average American traveler. So, and with that, thank you for watching the State of the American Traveler online dashboard demonstration.
That was fantastic, Chingun. Thank you so much for jumping on and sharing that with all of us. For everyone in the audience, again, you can have access to this really dynamic, very in-depth dashboard with all of the data and insights that we've been collecting over the many, many years. And so if you're interested in subscribing, please reach out to me. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about the dashboard. And also, in addition, actionable insights are available now with Destination Analyst's Passion Profile Study, your go-to resource for critical insights about the vast and changing interests of today's travelers. We have profiles for over 35 traveler types and segments, including foodies, art museum aficionados, fishermen, wellness, agritourists, and many, many more, all available to purchase today. And is your brand making its foray into TikTok? Then you should consider buying our brand new first of its kind report on best practices and TikTok content for travel brands. You can scan the URL to purchase today, or if you have any questions about the report, you can email me and I would be happy to answer all of your questions. And I loved covering these latest insights with you. If you have any questions about the State of the American Traveler or any of our other services, I'm happy to share how our clients are leveraging these for their important decision-making and strategy. And now, without further ado, let's welcome Mita Vo to lead this enlightening discussion with our consumer panel about AI-generated travel ads. But just for fun, we asked ChatGPT to write a limerick about each of our panelists and one for Mita as well. So here's an AI-generated ode to my little sister. In the California desert, Mita resides, a project manager with an adventurous stride. She loves to travel with glee, fishing by the sparkling sea, with lizards and cats, 20 each in fact. Sheesh. And by the way, I edited the last line of that limerick because, of course, AI can't achieve the creative finesse that a human can, at least not yet. So take it away, Mita.
Thanks so much, Miha, and thank you to our audience for joining us on this exploration of AI-generated advertising. Using AI to create ads has been all the buzz lately. And just for fun and learning, we thought we would bring together a panel of travelers to react to AI-generated travel ads and see what we can learn. We have 5 amazing travelers from our panel today. In that background, they were given a homework assignment to actually create their own destination advertisement using one of several AI tools or a combination of them. Now, we aren't going to share these with you today, but we did this exercise to give our panel some familiarity with the tools and a better understanding of what AI generation entails. One of the AI tools we have them test is ChatGPT. I'm sure you've all heard of ChatGPT at some point. This is the tool we use to create the limerick for my introduction. Actually, I'd like to now invite our panelists to come online. So Eric, Jan, Candice, Matt, and Wendy, please turn on your videos. And as a fun surprise, we use the details that you sent to us for your introduction. And we created AI-generated limericks for each of you. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, in ChatGPT generated limericks, first we have Eric. So Eric, a wanderer true, with his wife, they're an adventurous too. For 8 years they've been wed, traveling where they're led, escaping responsibilities, making memories anew. Next up, we have Jan. There once was a traveler named Jan. From Miami, he hailed with a tan. Escaping the grind, he left it behind, seeking adventures wherever he ran. From historical landmarks to sights unseen, Jan's wanderlust has always keen. He charged up his batteries, exploring new territories, seeing the world, living his dream. Right, and then there's Candice, a traveler at heart. Exploring, eating, she plays every part. From exotic cuisine to hidden gems, vacation moments she never condemns. Escaping stress, her adventures impart. And Matt and his family, a traveling band. Curious souls, they explore each land. With spirits adventurous and bright, they see cultures day and night, appreciating the world firsthand. And finally, there's Wendy, a mom who's full of zest. With 2 kids, she's on adventurous quests, traveling together, a family delight, discovering life's wonders day and night. With love and exploration, they are blessed. All right, so my panelists, welcome again, and thank you all so much for joining. So you all created a travel ad using an AI tool. Tell me, what was that experience like? What did you learn? Matt, can you get us started?
Yeah, let me take myself off mute. Yeah, I was familiar with ChatGPT. I thought the experience of creating an ad was pretty straightforward. The directions were fantastic and very clear, so it didn't take a ton of time. I found it interesting how I was able to create an ad as well pretty quickly, and it was able to give me a lot of information about my destination, which would help with the research component as well.
Awesome. And how about the imagery created by the AI tool on a scale of 1 to 10? How good was it?
It was probably like about a 7. My destination was New York, so it gave me some different pictures to kind of look at it and explore. I liked the amount of options it gave me. I felt like, the visuals were good, but not outstanding as far as what I received after using the tool.
Got it. Candice, what about you? What was your experience like?
It was really good. I was actually very surprised at how accurate the AI tool was and how quickly it was able to put together a full story for me without me having to do very much.
Right. And if we had posted your ad online, do you think it would work?
I think so, yeah. Seattle is actually one of my favorite places to visit, and B, it's just really beautiful, and they picked the most beautiful pictures that you can find, the most common ones, online to use. So I think that would attract people.
Amazing. All right, Jan, what about you? What was your experience like?
So half awake and all, because I just had gotten back doing a run to Tampa. It was manageable. It wasn't that difficult to use. The only thing was that I recall is that I had to use ChatGPT a few times, because when I went and submitted that to the AI to produce the video, it would say that I would go over. So it was a little bit frustrating in that factor, but overall it was easy to use. It wasn't that difficult to use.
Okay, thank you for sharing. And Wendy, what was your experience like?
It was good. I kind of relate to Jan. I had some issues going back and forth between the AI and ChatGPT. I had to edit it down quite a bit just because ChatGPT produced so much text. Mm-hmm. And the only kind of thing I was maybe a little disappointed by, not exactly disappointed, it gave a good itinerary, and it gave some helpful tips. But I would have liked some maybe not so common places generated.
Okay. And then last but not least, Eric.
Yeah, I had a positive experience using the tool. The ChatGPT gave us a nice overview. My destination was Las Vegas. I was surprised, however, when I was using the tool that would generate the imagery and the video, that it used images that were not of Las Vegas. Although it was easy to use and simple to go through, I think the overall quality could use a little bit of work.
Okay. Well, thank you to our panelists for sharing your experience with the AI tools. AI has begun its integration with travel, including providing recommendations, booking, forecasting, creating itineraries, and now advertisements. We're going to look at a campaign from Visit Denmark. Using deepfake technology and a script written by ChatGPT, this commercial brings works of art to life. Let's go ahead and watch.
Hello there, dear tourists. While I appreciate the attention, let's be honest. Standing in line for hours just to see me is not exactly the most exciting way to spend your holiday.
Trust me. I've been hanging here for centuries, and I've seen it all.
The pushing, the shoving, it's not pretty.
As Vincent van Gogh, I might say, don't just go to see my paintings, go to Denmark.
There, you can skip the crowds and enjoy the simple pleasures of life.
Like biking through charming towns.
exploring picturesque coastlines.
And let's not forget about Denmark's legendary food scene.
Wow! That's the true joy of travel.
The unexpected surprises and adventures that come from stepping off the beaten path.
That being said, I do hope to see you back soon. I do get lonely in this museum, you know.
Okay, I think I saw some smiles. Let's start with Eric. What was your first reaction to this ad?
Yeah, I think it's really clever. I'm not super familiar with the origin of these pieces of art. I mean, I would assume a lot of them sit in Denmark, but I think it was very clever to have the these artwork kind of talk to me, the traveler, and then at the end with the line of don't be a tourist, because tourist could have like a negative connotation associated with it, and to be more of an explorist, which could excite someone to want to travel. So overall, I think the advertisement is very clever.
Nice. And yeah, let's talk about the good and the bad. What did you like most about it, and what did you like least?
I like the animations. Like I mentioned, it's very clever. It kind of catches my attention pretty quickly with how it's animated. And I think what I like least about it is kind of in that same vein. I think certainly there's work to be done to make the animations more kind of fluid, or not really realistic, but some of the mouths on the Statue of Liberty wasn't like super great, but overall I think the message is still very positive.
Okay, thank you. Wendy, what about you? What was your first reaction to this ad?
I thought it was clever, but I think it was a little confusing because, this is about Denmark, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't think any of these pieces are in Denmark.
Okay.
And so, if I'm not mistaken, I believe some of these are at the Louvre, if I'm not mistaken, So I thought it was a little confusing, because if they were going that route, I would have liked to see some, art or pieces that were specifically in Denmark or tied to Denmark.
Okay, fair enough. And aside from, the confusion of where these people actually live, what about the script? Does the AI generated script make you want to visit Denmark?
Yeah, I thought it was clever and interesting. I really liked it, apart from, like I said, the confusion of where these pieces are currently at.
Okay. And Candice, what about you? What's your first reaction?
Definitely agree with Eric and Wendy. I think it was really cute. Like, it's something that my niece would pay attention to because of the animation. But with the Statue of Liberty, it did look a little weird, a little funky, just because it didn't fit completely together, like the mouth moving, what it was saying. That part looked a little weird, but I thought it was cute. And then also, to Wendy's point, I've been to the Louvre, and I think the Mona Lisa is at the Louvre and not in Denmark. So I was a little confused on that too.
Yeah. What else could be done to make this more impactful?
I think maybe a little work on the animation for sure. The background music, I'd probably make it a little more lively, just because there is animation instead of I think it was like classical music playing in the background. It was a little calm.
Okay. And Jan, what about you? What's your first reaction?
The exact same thing that Wendy said. I immediately thought about Denmark, but these art pieces and figures aren't from Denmark. So my brain went split two ways. I go, wasn't this about Denmark? But then they're showing pieces both American and European. So immediately I go, that's kind of confusing. So it's like, is it about Denmark? Is it traveling the world? So immediately I go, what's the main point here? Is it traveling the world? Is it traveling to Denmark? Are you trying to get more tourists to go to Denmark? These questions started popping off in my head, so that led to a confusing conclusion. So it's just like, if they're trying to aim for Denmark, show landmarks in Denmark, show, I don't know, cars that are made in Denmark, things of that nature. Focus about Denmark, because literally everything else was irrelevant to this ad.
Okay. And what do you like most about this ad?
I mean, if the subject was changed to travel the world, it would be excellent, because they're showing art and they're showing political figures or historical figures or what have you, from around the world. So I feel that what they showed, if it was obviously about traveling the world, would have been perfect. So everything all in all is perfect. But of course, since it's towards Denmark, it just makes no sense with Denmark.
Okay, fair enough. And then Matt, what could be done to make this more impactful?
I think there needs to be more of an exploration on specific things to see in Denmark. I found the first couple seconds kind of interesting to capture your attention. I also had a similar thought, which was, I don't think about famous museums in Denmark as the first thing in my brain. And then after the first Mona Lisa talking, when you realize that everyone's going to be talking through a painting the rest of the time, it kind of didn't really keep my interest as much. So in the last few seconds of the ad, you very quickly get a variety of shots that look like interesting things, but you don't get a lot of information about what those things are. And I would have liked more of a focus on that in the ad to kind of pique my interest about visiting Denmark.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for sharing your opinions on this particular piece. Next up, we're going to look at another campaign called Open to Wonder. So this new marketing campaign is a bit different. It comes from Italy's tourism ministry. Open to Wonder features the love goddess Venus as a modern day virtual influencer, content creator, and tourism ambassador for Italy. Throughout the campaign on Instagram, Venus is dressed in today's designer clothing, taking selfies in St. Mark's Square, riding a bicycle in front of the Colosseum, and eating pizza on the shores of Lake Como. So actually, let's have her introduce herself. This is her first official post where she explains her role as Italy's tourism ambassador. Now, the script is in Italian, but there are subtitles for our English speakers. So let's watch.
Ciao a tutti, il mio nome è Venere, ma probabilmente questo lo sapete già. Ho 30 anni, ok, qualcosina di più a dire il vero, e sono una virtual influencer. Che significa? Vi porterò in giro per l'Italia per mostrarvi i suoi luoghi meravigliosi e le sue eccellenze. Vi racconterò di bellezza, cultura, cucina, ospitalità, musica e arte ovviamente, proprio come i vostri influencer preferiti. Io non vedo l'ora. E voi? Seguitemi, sarà un viaggio entusiasmante, promesso.
All right, so now that we've gotten to know Italy's new ambassador, let's take a look at this reel by Venus, showcasing Italy as a travel destination.
Ed eccola lì, l'Italia. Un puntino in mezzo al mondo che tutto il mondo ha nel cuore. Perché è calore che risuona nelle parole e nei gesti. E splendore che si affaccia dai borghi. E storia che ti toglie il respiro. E natura che te lo restituisce. E braccia che si spalancano. E una porta aperta sulla meraviglia. Preparatevi a scoprirla insieme a me.
All right. So let's do this again. Wendy, why don't you get us started? What was your first reaction to this content?
I'm not sure. I don't think I really like it. I would prefer to use a real person.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's completely unrelatable. I would have loved to see a real person instead of a virtual person. Like exploring the city or showing what this, Italy had to offer.
And what about the AI generated script? Does that make you want to visit Italy?
Not particularly, no. Like I said, I would have loved something, someone, like real kind of like talking about their favorite places or something like that.
Okay. And in terms of having a real person showcasing Italy, would you rather have someone more well-known or someone lesser known?
Someone lesser known, because I feel like
Okay.
it makes it more relatable.
More relatable. Ah, got it. I see, Jan, you're nodding your head. Yeah, what was your first reaction?
The exact same thing Wendy had said. I feel like in this case, if you're going to portray Italy, you're going to have to like rip some pages off of some things that have already been used. For example, I guess like take the concept of what Travel Channel does whenever, I don't know if these shows are still in existence, but I would say if they're going to portray Italy, portray it with a real person, not with a celebrity, but with maybe an Italian influencer that's extremely popular on TikTok or Instagram or what have you. I mean, one thing that I've noticed that they didn't show was the food, and I mean, they did show a lot of like culture, a lot of what they offer, a lot of landmarks, but you know, it would be great to see somebody actually walk the streets, go to the restaurants, go here, go there, instead of it being an AI generated figure. It would always be better, you know, with a real person in this case, just because we're able to, everything was in the air, like everything for the most part was recorded via air, but it's always better with somebody holding a GoPro or something of that nature and recording themselves venturing Italy.
Okay. And show of hands, does anyone, disagree? Does anyone like the AI generation, the AI person? No, okay. What about the fact that this is a depiction of the love goddess Venus, created by a famous Italian artist? Does that have any impact? No, okay.
I'd rather see somebody for real actually see Venus. Like it would always be better.
Okay. Yeah, no, fair enough. Eric, what about you? Let's talk about the good and the bad. What do you like most and what do you like least?
Yeah, I think the script was pretty good. Provides a high level overview of what to expect when you visit Italy. I think the shots of people drinking wine, some of the destinations, I think that looked great. As far as like the AI generated person, it just seemed out of place, just like what was previously mentioned, and it seems out of place like in these photos that are on the screen. It just doesn't appeal to me it doesn't make me want to go to Italy more, having this person on the screen. I think if you pull the person, the AI generated person out, I think the ad is actually, I think it's great because it showcases at a very high level of what to expect if you were to visit Italy.
Oh, okay. And Candice, what could be done to make this more impactful for you?
I agree with everyone about the AI. It's a very pretty painting, but it's weird to just see, it's kind of like a cutout of a painting in different areas. Like the hair doesn't change, the facial expression doesn't change. She's not really talking. So that kind of looks weird to me and out of place. And I think it did move a little too fast for me as well.
Okay. And then Matt, for the AI generated person, what if she had more facial expression, more movement to make her more animated? Would that make it more impactful?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I think it's interesting, looking at things like this, digital creations or AI, chatbots or assistants. But as far as, a similar thought as some of the other group members, since it's not a real person, it didn't pique my interest to go to Italy more. It's a place I've always wanted to go and would love to go someday. But seeing this particular person in this capacity didn't stimulate any additional interest in visiting there.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for sharing your feedback into this campaign. To close us out, let's do a fun lightning round of fill in the blank. So to start us off, one word to describe AI. Candice?
Automatic.
Automatic. Wendy?
Instant.
Instant. Matt?
Cool.
Did you say cool?
I said tool.
Tool. Okay. Jan?
Convenient.
All right. And Eric?
I think it's convenient.
Convenient. Okay. AI in general makes me feel. Let's start with Eric.
Excited.
Excited. Candice?
Interested.
Jan?
A little fearful.
Little fearful. Okay. Matt?
excited and also nervous in its ability to perform tasks that are normally done by people.
Fair enough. And then Wendy.
Intrigued.
Intrigued. AI generated content is, let's start with Jan.
Decent.
Decent. Candace?
New, different.
Different. Wendy?
Interesting.
Matt?
Content like blogs, marketing materials, product descriptions that are written by a machine.
And then Eric?
Innovative.
Innovative. All right. And then lastly, an AI travel ad must blank to persuade me to book. Candace?
Must be accurate.
Accurate. Okay, that's a good one. Wendy?
Relatable.
Relatable. Eric?
Personalized.
Personalized. Matt?
Save me time and help with the booking process.
Okay. And then Jan?
Specific.
Specific. All right. Okay, so I want you to consider everything that we've looked at today, your personal experience in creating AI generated ads, and tell me, what does AI do well? What do human creative teams do better than AI?
It's very
Eric? Oh, go ahead, Jan.
it's very descriptive. I remember just typing in, I did it on Texas because I'm not sure where specifically I want to go, but it was very in detail of what it wrote. Like I just wrote a few words and then I put Texas as the subject and it really wrote it out pretty well, like to the point where it was thought out and it took a minute for you to think of these things and then write it down. And this thing did it, I don't know, less than 10 seconds. So it's, it was very in detail.
Okay. And then Candace, what do human creative teams do better than AI?
I think there's just more passion because it's humans behind it versus just a computer doing things for them. It's really easy for AI to pull information and very quickly, but when humans are doing it, they're specifically looking for things that are gonna attract people that may be different if your goal is to be in a touristy area or if it's to not be in a touristy area.
And then Eric, what does AI do well, and what do human creative teams do better than AI?
Yeah, I think AI is able to create like scripts really, really fast. I think we've experienced that with using ChatGPT. But I think what humans do better than AI is being able to tap into the human emotion side and be able to personalize content to appeal to individuals based off their own needs.
Okay. And then by show of hands, if you were a travel marketer, would you be using it? And go ahead and raise your hand if yes. All right, 1, 2, we got 3 yeses, 2 nos. All right, well, Eric, Candace, Jan, Wendy, Matt, thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to speak to me and talk to us about AI-generated travel advertisements. You all offered some really valuable insights and feedback into this tool. And for our friends in the audience, thank you all so much for joining us again for this update of State of the American Traveler. I hope you join us next month for the next update. Everyone take care and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.